Man, oh man, today is like a painting and decorating mega mix because we got 10 paint colors for 10 of the most popular interior design styles according to Architectural Digest. I'll leave the article that I was inspired by for this video in the description if you want to check it out. But why don't we get into these colors right after you hit that like button for us, and of course that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with our 6 videos a week all about painting and decorating. Let's start with scandi. So scandi, or Scandinavian design, is not just limited to Scandinavia, so places like Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. It's mega popular throughout the world now, and it embraces simplicity and functionality, and it can also give you hygge vibes if you're feeling nice and cozy. So the color that I'll pick to represent scandi is called cotton balls. It's an off-white, just like you might expect. What I like about it is it's super clean and bright and kind of a yellowy white. A very subtle yellow warmth. It'll help bring a ton of light into your space and will therefore reflect it back at you. It's a great starting point choice if you want it for your walls or even your trim and your ceilings, pretty much everything. Next up is Japandi, which is a fusion of Japanese and Scandi design, hence the name, and they both have a connection with nature, so they are a natural fit to sort of be conjoined and fused into one. Japandi also explores the use of natural materials again, but it adds in some dark and rich colors into the mix, and that becomes the big differentiating factor between the two. Dark basalt is a really luxurious eggplant color, and I think it really exemplifies Japandi to me. It's also a fun alternative to dark brown and green, which you might see within Japandi design as well. But why not go for eggplant? Boho is next, also known as bohemian interior design, and it's really an eclectic style that is rather free-flowing and unconventional. It's kind of anything goes, you could say. Flower power, lots of mixing of old vintage and modern elements, big pops of color, all kinds of patterns blending together, and you got rugs on top of rugs on top of rugs, all that. There's also a lot of comfortable and touchable materials that are used, so texture is a big component of bohemian, and also plant life. If you like plants, maybe you're boho. What you call me? My boho color is claret rose, or claret rose for the French, because it's fiery, it's fun, and it's a coral that will really turn heads. It's a beautiful mix of red and orange and pink, which you'll often see in boho interiors. It's also the color of the year, or at least kind of like the color of the year, if we're talking about Benjamin Moore. Next up is Mediterranean. Think of the south of France and Sicily and Dubrovnik. A lot of lovely, warm, earthy colors conveying a relaxed and rustic aesthetic. It's not very easy to pull off in suburban North America, but why not go for it? You could obviously use an off-white linen color, a clay, a terracotta, an olive green, but I picked all blue eyes because of that recurring theme of beautiful water. You could also go with a more turquoise-leaning, kind of bluey green, but I was drawn to the true blue as an accent color. Next is the design style called country house. So this is centered largely around century homes. Those homes that come with a lot of character because they're really old. It's usually a design style that's partially inherited because not many modern builders are utilizing those old school kind of aesthetics and those dramatic crown moldings that older homes have. But that's what makes this design style really unique and kind of comforting as well. You also might see a lot of little imperfections in all the finishes because of all the wear and tear from all the years of being lived in, but that's what makes the space perfectly yours and unique. Lennox tan is the color I choose for it because you'll often see those warmer leaning neutrals like this color. I picked a color with a more understated coloration so that the architectural elements, those design aspects that are sort of built in, will stand out more rather than the color. Next up we have mid-century, or mid-century modern. So we're about a quarter of the way into this century currently, but this design style refers to the 1950s, so the middle of the 20th century. Heavy use of modern materials that were modern at the time, like metallics, but also a large amount of woods and leathers and pretty glamorous and iconic shapes that really changed interior design forever, not to shy away from bolder colors as well. With that being said, I picked Amazon soil because to me, it's evocative of the materials that can be seen in a lot of mid-century modern furniture. Those darker walnut woods and the leathers, and it's also loosely inspired by the photo that I saw from Architectural Digest, which is right here. Thank you guys over at AD. Not sponsored, by the way, I'm just thankful. Genuinely. Industrial. I love industrial design. I'm in an industrial kind of vibey basement right now. Exposed brick walls, pipes, a fairly unfinished look, which creates kind of a dynamic effect. It's actually cool that industrial was really born out of necessity, mainly in the 1960s. And now we see a ton of old industrial spaces being repurposed. Like hard lofts, pretty sweet. And I used to live in one, so I know. So super quick story. Before this house, I was living in an old shoe factory. One of the people that came in to fix my dishwasher used to work at the shoe factory when he was in high school. Yep, I was stamping shoe soles on the 4th floor. It was great money. It was a great job. So kind of fun. Sort of full circle moment. Anyway, my industrial paint color is black satin because black is a no-brainer when it comes to industrial. Industrial principles are often grayscale, but don't feel like you're limited to just that. You don't have to go black and white and gray. You can always add those more homey, more comforting elements, including color hues that you enjoy. Just make sure it sort of fits within the whole industrial aesthetic. Bauhaus design. This is an interesting one because it's a design style, I guess, that's based on a style of furniture that was based on a German modern art movement from the early 20th century, as far as I know. More so using materials that were really hip 80 years ago, like metal, glass, and plastics. The color I'm going with for Bauhaus is Oxford Gold because even though modern Bauhaus furniture is often black and white, nothing screams Bauhaus to me more than yellow. And that touch of orange in Oxford Gold makes it feel even more dynamic and playful. Next up on the list is minimalism. Okay, white? Is that what you're picking, James? Honestly, minimalism is often misunderstood and just labeled boring and lifeless, but really it's just a stripped down, simplified approach to design. Only the essentials. Everything has a purpose, has meaning, Marie Kondo vibes, and if it doesn't bring you joy, then what's it doing in your home? But if I had to pick a color for minimalism, it's gonna be Chantilly lace, y'all. Sorry about it. It's simply a pure white, no undertones to have to decipher. It's an easy to understand paint color. So if you're going for minimal, that's as minimal as you can get. Now we have traditional, also sometimes deemed as being a boring design style. It's just a more timeless approach to design in terms of layout and color. It's a fantastic place to start for anyone putting together a room. You got your light ceilings and your trim, you got that nice dining room table with the fun centerpiece, all that good stuff. When you think of a traditional, stereotypical layout, that's traditional design. And Wind's Breath would be my color because it's versatile, it's a warm gray that can suit many situations. I wouldn't quite call it a grayish, more of a green? Weird word. Creamy gray, very pleasant. I think it really suits the design style very, very well. And we have another design video right over here if you want to take a little bit of a deeper dive in this world. I'll see you there.